Welcome to International Crafters Seasonal Birdhouse Challenge. Hi everyone, it's Ann. I am here at the request. Eileen McInnes actually asked me if I wouldn't mind participating in the International Crafter Challenges. And so we are going to be doing a seasonal birdhouse. So for those of you that live, say, in Australia or New Zealand, you are now going into your fall, whereas we are in spring. It doesn't feel like spring where I am right now. It is overcast, cold, and we are getting rain, and in the higher elevations we're actually getting snow today. So it's just been crazy weather out here. I was hoping that, you know, we had some nice sunny days. I was hoping it was going to stay that way, but unfortunately it's not. So my did I say bird cage? I meant birdhouse. We are doing a seasonal birdhouse. So for those of you that are in New Zealand or Australia, you're in fall and we're in spring. So for those of you that are in New Zealand or Australia, do a birdhouse that has along the theme of fall, autumn, that kind of thing, where mine's going to be more along spring. So I've already gone ahead off camera. I took some of my spray paint and I'll show you what it is. It's the Gold NC Acrylic Professional Spray Paint by Montana, and it has a little less fumes, but still I'm pretty sensitive to smells. So like paint fumes, or sorry, I was having to plug my camera in because the battery was starting to go dead and I didn't want to have it go dead right in the middle of this. So excuse me. Anyhow, I went ahead off camera because paint fumes, spray fumes, even if they're not as toxic, are still pretty toxic, and so it's best to spray this in a well-ventilated area like your garage or outside. So because it's raining out today and it's cold and dreary out, I went ahead and sprayed it in my garage. So I went ahead and sprayed it all the same color. This is a Malachite Light, it's called. So that's what this is. All right. So then I'm going to go ahead and get started as far as the, decorating part of it. And I'm going to try to find the video link. This was a piece of like a metal sheet, but it's a very thin metal sheet, and it's almost like foil paper, but it's not quite like aluminum paper, or aluminum foil, I should say. But it's really a thin piece of metal sheeting of some sort. I don't remember where I got this from, and as you can see, it's kind of bent up. I recently moved from one state to another, and so I'm busy trying to get things unpacked, and this kind of got bent up in the packing, but that's okay, because what I did, I went ahead and fed this through my Sizzix Big Shot in a embossing folder, and so it embossed this pretty pattern. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to kind of eyeball. If you know me and you followed me on my YouTube channel here, you will know that I don't like to measure. I like to eyeball things. I'm not much of a measurer. So I'm going to eyeball where I need to cut this. I'm going to probably mark it because I'd like to try and glue or somehow maybe make some holes in here to attach this to the roof of the birdhouse and to give it some interest. so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to get a Sharpie or something to mark this with so I can see what I'm doing. And this is black on this side, so black Sharpie is not going to show up. So I think I'm going to use a different pen. I've got some kind of a pen here. I could mark it with where I need to cut. And usually I'm pretty well prepared, but I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants as to what I'm going to do with this birdhouse, all right? I've had this in my stash for quite a while. I think I got this at Michael's quite a while ago. They have some unfinished pieces and they're unfinished wood in a certain aisle, and I don't even remember how much I paid for this. It really wasn't that expensive, but you don't necessarily have to use a real birdhouse. You could do a birdhouse out of a milk carton or a box, or think outside the box of what you can use and try to use things that you have on hand. Don't go out and buy new stuff. Try to use what you have, upcycle something, something old that you've had around in your stash and you haven't used. That's a good idea. I try not to go out and buy so many new things now because I have so much stuff in my stash that I'm trying to stick to that as much as possible these days, because I don't want to go out and spend any more money. So I'm trying to use up what I have. If I run out of some of my favorite supplies, then I go ahead and then I go out and buy. But I usually use a coupon. So I try not to pay for things full price unless I really want it. All right, so I've eyeballed it and I'm cutting it out. I'm using my Tim Holtz scissors, which are great because they kind of have they're serrated, so they cut through a lot of really cool stuff. They actually even cut through wood, and I'll show you that in a minute because I did cut some wood pieces out that I want to use on my birdhouse, but I'll show you that in a few minutes when I get to that step. But in the meantime, I want to try and figure out how I want to attach this to the sides to create a tin roof look. So this is what I want to try and do with this, all right? So I'm thinking that I might attach it with a couple of maybe wood screws, or I have these cool, I bought these a long time ago for another project I was doing, which was some old chairs I had recovered a long time ago, and I bought extra of these furniture tacks. They're like antique furniture nails, and I'm thinking that maybe I can hammer these into the sides like this, but I'm not quite sure yet because these might be a little bit too big looking for the size of my bird cage. I mean birdhouse, not cage. Why am I thinking bird cage? I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to pause my camera for a minute, and of course with the miracle of the camera, I'll be back in a minute because I think I'm going to try and find some different tacks or screws or nails or something. I think I have some smaller nails that I think will look better in these, and I'm not going to do anything with the metal pieces here because what I want to do is I want to leave it like this, and it's going to hang in my garden when I'm done with this. And I think I kind of like it like this because then with the weather elements, this will probably rust eventually and it'll give it some cool effects. I could rust it myself, but it's a long process to kind of rust things out. So I think I prefer just to let the elements, the weather elements, do its own job. So, you know, it's up to you how you want to do your birdhouse, because you could, you know, take pieces of metal and run them through your Sizzix Big Shot if you have one. And pardon me, because that was my phone. That was my daughter. Be right back. All right, so this is where I have to get the big guns out. So instead of doing nails, I decided I'm going to do some screws, and I'm going to do them. So I'm going to kind of see how I can get this to attach here and then get it started. So excuse the noise when this comes on. It might be a little noisy. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not. Let's hope. Let's keep our fingers crossed, all right? So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to screw this on off camera so you don't see me making too much noise or whatever, or if I struggle with it. So I'm going to do this off camera real quick to at least get the first one started, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I kind of changed my mind because I was struggling with the screws, and I really don't feel like struggling with the screws. So I have this Easy Tack by Krylon. It's a repositional adhesive, but at least I can get this stuck on and started. Oh, why is it going all over? It shouldn't go all over like this, but it is. Okay. Could be that it's pretty old now, so I'm not sure if it's going to stay. It's not even tacky now. It could be that it's been in the can too long, but we'll see. Actually, it is sticking. Good, it's sticking. So, and it's repositional, so it's not exactly permanent. So I'm gonna let this dry on here a little bit, tack on here a little, and then maybe then I can get a nail or something into the adhesive, you know, into the metal here. And I've got adhesive all over me now. Yeah, of course, right? As soon as I turn the camera on is when I have issues. Oh, live and learn, right? Okay, come on, stick. And normally I don't spray things like this inside the house, but I wanted to do it quickly, at least try. It's just not wanting to stick. Okay, so that. And I kind of like to keep things a little real because, you know, you can see the struggles that people have when they're first putting that stuff together. It doesn't always work out the way you want it to. So, yeah. And see, my fingers are sticking because I got some on the outside and I didn't want to do it on the outside. So let's see if I can get this to stick like that, because I got it all over my fingers now. I'm trying to stick my fingers together. Okay. See, it's just, it stuck a little, but it's really not adhering very well at all. I should have just used a different type of glue, but that's okay. This is the one side, so I'm not too worried about it right now, and I'll just try another side after. But I'm going to go ahead and just leave it like this and see as it glues, maybe as it dries, maybe it'll adhere a little bit better. My hands are sticky everywhere. All right, I'll be right back to wash my hands and finish this project. All right, so what I ended up doing off camera was I went ahead, I couldn't get the nails to go in properly, so to make it look like this had been nailed on, because eventually the adhesive did dry on this, so I didn't have to nail it in to secure it, which is good. So what I did was I took these, they're by Tim Holtz, and they're called nail heads, and so these are what they look like. So I glued them down with Aleene's tacky glue, and I'm hoping that that will be enough to adhere, to have them stay and adhere. Sometimes Aleene's works great for this, but other times it doesn't quite work, and you might need a stronger glue like E6000 or Gorilla Glue or Super Glue or something to glue the metal down better. So that's what I'm doing right now. So the next step is I had a ruler that, you can see I broke the whole thing apart. My husband's away this week, and so I went ahead and got lucky that I didn't need to use his saw, because I prefer not to use heavy equipment when I'm doing stuff, because I'm not the most graceful person. I'm more accident prone. And I could just see myself having a majorly bad accident. So yeah, so I was able to cut this by myself using my Tim Holtz scissors, which are perforated here, and they are really great for cutting wire, cutting all kinds of things. So it's kind of rough right now. See how the edges are rough? So I'm going to go ahead and take my sanding block, and I'm going to go ahead and just sand down the excess here, and also to smooth out the wood so you don't have any splinters or anything like that, so you don't get yourself with a splinter. And it doesn't have to look even. I kind of like the homemade rough look, and eventually I am going to glue it here like this, and I think I might cross it over like that. Yeah, I kind of like it like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these on, and then I'm going to figure out what next. But it creates a cool little roof line kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the glue. My tacky glue's having issues, so I will be right back. Sometimes the tacky glue gets caught in this area here at the mouth, kind of at the lip of this. So I had to go and clean it up and make a bigger hole. So yeah, so I can get plenty of glue out to glue these down. All right, so this is going to glue, and with the miracle of the camera, we'll be back in a sec. All right, so it's still kind of drying, but I'm going to go ahead, and I've got this matte ballet slipper chalk paint. So I'm going to go ahead and paint a light color, light coat of paint over the rulers, but I still kind of want the numbers showing through, so I'm kind of adding a very light coat of this, so it's not covering up all the numbers, because I still want it to look like that's a ruler. So you can faintly see it through. And I'm just going along the edges here. Oops, I didn't want to put any more thicker amount here, so I'm going to take a little bit of my a baby wipe and kind of wipe off some of the excess, because I still want to see the numbers showing through. So see, they're faint, very faint showing through there, so that I know it's a ruler that I've used for another purpose. All right, so everything's pretty much dry. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to paint the bottom part of this a little bit of a darker kind of teal light bluish kind of color with some chalk paint. This is actually milk paint by Folk Art is what I'm using. Okay. And I'm going to go down along the bottom half here too. Make it a little darker. So I went around the whole base of this. Okay. With some milk paint. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my heat gun. So excuse the noise to speed up the drying process here. And then I have these really cute, they're wood butterfly buttons, and I really love them. They're really cool. So, and I can't remember where I got these from, but they're really fun. They're all kinds of different colors and shapes and stuff, and I thought I'd put them in different spots on my birdhouse. See what other ones I can find here that are different colors. Okay. I was going to put flowers on these, but because I really want to hang this outside, you know, like paper flowers or, you know, fabric flowers might not do so well out in the different elements. So I kind of like this one, except I put too much glue on this one that it's going to dry funny. So I got to wipe it off a little bit here. Trying to think of where I should put this one. I think I'm going to put it this way. And then I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll come back in. I'm going to add a few other little elements, and then I think I'll call it done. But think about ways that you can, you know, create a nice birdhouse. Now remember, you don't have to go out and buy one if you don't have one, but you could actually make one out of a box or out of milk carton, that kind of thing. So think about what you could use, things that you already have around the house. Don't go out and buy anything new. Think outside the box, all right? So I'm going to let this dry and I'll be back in a few. All right, so I've glued my butterflies on, and I have these cute little charms, and I'm not gonna do anything with the holes on the charms. I'm just gonna leave them the way they are, but I'd like to glue one about here, like that. Hopefully I don't get too much glue out of this. Okay, so I'm going to put one in here. And the glue does dry clear, so I'm not concerned about where it's gone this time, because it does dry clear. And then I want to take another birdie, and I think I want to put this birdie down here. Okay, and so I'm going to let these dry and I'll be back in a few. All right, so the birds are almost dry, so now I'm going to come in and glue some cute little gems. Have a little tweezer thingy here somewhere. If you know me, you know I love to have some bling. I gotta have some bling. Got to have the bling. Bling is a thing. All right, so this is gonna go right here, about here. And it's really white and wet at the moment, but it does dry clear, so I'm not concerned. And then I'm going to take some of this adhesive, sticky, it has a sticky adhesive backing, and I'm going to try it, but sometimes it ends up coming off. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm putting it right in here, right along the step or the bottom of this birdhouse. So the camera's not going to pick it up, the angle that I have my camera at, so I apologize for that, but I will show you in a minute what it looks like once I turn it over, see? And then I think I might add a little more on this end here. So I'm going to put a little more on this end, see if it works. So actually maybe I'll just do a single row instead, like that. Yep, that looks better. I'll have to trim one of these off because I put too much on the end of this one. So that's what that looks like. And I'm not quite done, because I do like to add lots of bling to many different areas of my work. A lot of times I just like to do it like that. That might work. Cover the holes. No, that's not going to work. It doesn't look very good. All right. And then I'm going to do the other side here. So I only need 4. Only need 4. So there we go. And then I'm going to put this down at the end here too. Right like that. And I still see the numbers showing through on my ruler. Hopefully the camera's picking it up. All right, so I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll be back for a last closing remark and so on. So I'll be back in a few again with the magic and miracle of the camera. Everything will be nice and dry in an instant, right? Bling! So I hope you enjoyed this birdhouse challenge, and that you will go out and create your own. And don't forget that you don't need to go out and buy anything. Create something that you already have on hand. And I just happen to have this birdhouse. And I will post a link down at the bottom to the International Crafters Facebook group, as well as to Eileen McInnes's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and thanks, Eileen, for letting me be a part of this. Thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful day. Toodles. Bye. Take care.